Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Indie Comics Talk. This is episode 34 of this year. And tonight we got a returning guest for this year coming back on to talk about his newest project, Minutes to Midnight, and the finishing of the series Area 51, the Helix project. And he just loved really long titles with colons because I forgot the rest of the Minutes to Midnight project title because it's so long, but it's awesome. What's up, Trevor?
Not much, man. No.
You knew I had to hit you with that after we were talking about it at MegaCon.
This is the third time I've been razzed about it on the press circuit for this goddamn book. And like, I respect it. I respect the game and I acknowledge that it's real, but I didn't know I was gonna get this much heat for it, man. But
it's not heat. It's almost like it's a style now. You know, now you got to continue to do books with long titles and colons.
Oh man,
it's the Trevor style.
God, I did Minutes to Midnight so that I wouldn't be pigeonholed, and then I pigeonholed myself into long titles with colons.
Just a different way. Yeah, I mean it definitely gets you out of the pigeonhole of sci-fi story only, which. Big sci-fi story here, Area 51, Helix project. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the title thing. Next one's just gonna be one word. It's just gonna be like chair.
Yes. My next book, spoilers, is Chair, the comic.
I mean, it works on, what are those? Dig and Sink. Yeah. Works sometimes. It works.
Yeah, I can find a theme about chairs.
I shouldn't have thrown that one out there. That would be an interesting way to take things.
God, you either just made or broke my career.
Hey, if it's chairs start coming to life, eating the people who sit in them, I don't know. Got a horror story on your hands right here.
Oh God.
But speaking of genres, Minutes to Midnight, the hour between life and death takes you to lots of different genres and lots of different artists on board for this project because it's not just one story. It is an anthology of stories written by you, but with lots of amazing talent on the art team.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's so packed with artistic talent. It's not even funny. I mean, some faces, like if you've read my work, some of them are familiar, but some of them are also completely brand new and all of them bring something really, really special to this project. And I think it's such a pivotal point in my career to get to make something like this with so many talented individuals, that I have the opportunity to learn from.
Yeah. I mean, I think it goes and allows you to showcase your abilities to write in those different genres, write with different artists, create something that's going to work versus before you've got two art teams, but one style, throughout that you're writing and working with. So I'm excited to see how it all comes out in the final product. But one thing that like really stands out, I think, in this book is not just the art teams on the inside, but these cover art teams you've got. I gotta pull this up. I love this cover. I love that. And I guess it goes a little bit with the fact that you are Pocket Watch Press, bringing the watch into things here.
Yeah, that cover. I wanted the A cover to kind of shout out to Marcio for really doing the impossible. I mean, like, he found a way to distill all 4 stories down to a cover and a composition that I think speaks to the types of stories that you're going to be receiving, not just in like a topical way, but partly in a thematic way, in a broad sense, you know. And he ended up doing this beautiful, beautiful piece where, you know, I mean, it's just hard to keep your eyes off of. Marcio did a stupendous job. And by the way, like, it's so crazy, right? Like we were talking about pigeonholing people. This is why you don't want to pigeonhole people, because Marcio, he was my colorist on the Helix project,
Hmm.
you know, and
Yeah.
if you don't give people those chances to rise and step up, you might not get covers like this.
Right. I mean, you go from just doing the colors on a project, and then you're like, hey, hold on. Let me just throw this out here and
Mm.
just be amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, man. He absolutely killed that piece, and I adore it, man. I think it is the perfect A cover in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And then like this is sick too. Just the burst of bright colors coming off at that like that slice there.
Mm. Yeah, it's actually like the smoke from his cigarette
Mm,
kind of
I love it.
x-raying the body. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
that was really fun because it I kind of had a pretty fully formed idea for the composition of this cover right off rip, and I wanted to go to Sam to do it because it features most prominently, you know, the lead character from our story in this one,
Hmm.
and I mean, it's just it's beautiful, it's simple, it's striking, and also extremely narrative. You know, you read this story and you think back about what this cover is implying about this journey you're about to go on with these characters. It's I think it's going to resonate so well. You know, just aside from being this stunning, stunning image.
Yeah. I absolutely just yeah. All of them stand out in one way or another on their own to bring people in looking at it. Like if I saw any of these on a shelf, I'm gonna at least pick it up and start seeing what's inside this book.
Yeah, and then you have the incredible Fraser Irving, based out of London, and he's an artist that I've admired for the better part of a year, and I really wanted to do a third cover that was just like very moody, and that's what he does, man. He's such an atmospheric artist, and also despite most prominently featuring the character from Reflections and Other Little Devils and his dilemma, he was able to sprinkle in little elements from all of the other stories, which I thought was really brilliant without pulling away from the mood of the piece. And I mean, he just did such a spectacular job. You know, like I want this cover on my wall so bad. You know,
Time to get a poster.
let's do it.
Blow it up full size, put it on there. Done.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, it all of that though, like I said, it pulls people in, just catches your eye. So if these ever, I've seen in like Area 51, you've got some comic shops that purchase books to
Mhm.
put on their shelf. So they're gonna sell real quick on their shelves.
I hope so, man. I mean, it's these guys just did such an incredible job with the cover work, and then, you know, further, if we're able to unlock our stretch goal, we've got a
Oh yeah,
beautiful
what we got?
cover from
Let me
Kane and
see.
White and Jesse Higgy,
Mm,
which we will reveal once we hit 5K. And you know, as of recording this, we are about $120 away from that reveal. So there's a little incentive for the viewer out there, but it's a beautiful cover. It
yeah.
is, and it really does pull in elements from all of the stories. And Jesse, he just did such a spectacular job capturing all of these different tones in one piece, which is so hard to do. So it's such a, you know, it just it shows like a mastery of craft in a big, big way.
Yeah. So let's take a second and talk about the four different stories we got in here. I guess actually, let me put that back up. I don't know if you heard the really loud car driving by right there
It's
or
okay.
not.
It was just added effect.
Hey, Tyler, what's going on? So let me scroll down here because I know there was previews for all of them right in
Mhm.
here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so four different stories, four mostly different genres. I feel like there
Mhm,
was a little bit of overlap, but not really too much.
mhm.
Um, So what is Reflections and Other Little Devils about?
Yeah, so this is a 22-page story reteaming myself with the Samuel Iwunze, who took over the last two issues of the Helix project, except he's coloring his own work in this one, which is really great. And it's this grim and moody detective thriller featuring Carlos Mancebo as he investigates a string of suicides that are linked to a plot of land involved in a failed eminent domain seizure attempt. It's inspired by some events that took place in my hometown of New London, Connecticut, and the story actually takes place in New London, Connecticut.
Okay.
And what he discovers as he reopens this 20-year-old cold case, in tandem with these drug-laden flashbacks, kind of lure him into the gullet of a Saw-like murder case that puts his marriage into question. This long dead marriage that he kind of never thought would come back to haunt him. And so it ultimately spirals into a story of perception, control, and addiction. The overarching theme of Minutes to Midnight was playing with this idea of perspective and this necessity for us to look outside of ourselves and grow or die. And Carlos's story of self-perception and like the way that the way we understand the reflections that look back at us in the mirror paint our understanding of ourselves, they also paint our understanding of the world around us and how we interact with it. And further, sometimes we put ourselves in compromised situations where other people control our perception of ourselves. Other people control the way we look back at our reflections and those other little devils that stare back at us in the mirror. And ultimately this one is just like a massively experimental piece. It means a lot. It is Sam and I stretching all of the growth that I think we went through in the last two issues of the Helix project and cranking it up to 12. This is the closest thing I've done to like a traditional DC Vertigo comic, which if anybody is familiar with me, that is like such a foundational era in comics for me.
And I feel like he leveled up his artwork here from Area 51. Like, just stunning artwork.
Thank you so much, man. He's incredible. And just having the opportunity to build something with him from the ground up rather than him kind of trying to ride this fine line of being himself, but also maintaining a stylistic continuity that he had to pick up from in Area 51. This was a unique opportunity and he delivered.
Yeah, I feel like that now is him showcasing like, hey, this is what I can really do. Versus, like you said, trying to maintain a style that wasn't necessarily his, but he could do and do well.
Yeah, absolutely. He brought his A game, and the thing we always talked about with this story was leading with feeling. We wanted this story to feel very tonal and atmospheric, and we wanted to play with the way we were delivering the visual narrative, not just in the way we changed the pace of the storytelling, but the way we use design to control the mood of the storytelling. This is a mood piece in many ways, and he just delivered. That what we're looking at now, that's the first page of the entire story, and it's out there. It's mosaic like.
This is something that he does very well. Like flipping through, like if you read through the last two issues of Area 51, just the unique style of paneling that he brings into things, it's nothing that you see out there in like the traditional direct market comics. Awesome.
I agree, man. He's such a special collaborator, and he brings something so unique and so individual to every collaboration that we've had so far. And Reflections, just it's just icon. It's eye candy for the comic book reader. It's a beautiful story. It is intensely narrative and moody and experimental. And Sam and his ability, it's such a crucial and foundational reason as to why that is the case.
Yeah. And it doesn't stop there, because the next one is Marvelous Misadventures of the Melancholy Man.
Yeah.
Which, another fantastic artist on here.
Thank you. Yes. Steph C is just like such an uncut gem. She's done she's done a decent amount of work throughout the industry, but I don't think enough people are talking about her and giving her flowers for her innate ability to humanize her characters and make them feel alive and full of vitality and life, you
Mhm.
know. And it's not because she's like the most realistically oriented artist, it's because she leads um with feeling and emotion
Yeah.
and expression. And this by far is like the biggest departure from anything else I have ever done in comics, in every way. And having an artist like Steph to work with on this project made it seamless. I don't think I've ever had an easier time writing and visually developing a story than I have with Steph. She's just such an incredible talent, and it was amazing to have her on it.
So with this one being so different than your normal, where does this one take us with our
Yeah, so what's cool about this is going into Minutes to Midnight, this is the only story that I've had planned to continue in the future. I actually I would like to do a collection every year and continue this character's journey as a supernatural coming of age story every year. And this is the story of an empathic boy who turns others' woes into gold. It's a play on King Midas and the Golden Touch by
Mm.
Shakespeare, but it's almost it's an interesting twist, excuse me, because this character who we've named after the protagonist in um, uh, uh, Shakespeare's Stories and Myths collection is also named Midas, and he has to kind of learn to find balance in a life where a simple touch could mean healing someone else's mind at the cost of his own, or sacrificing his own mental sanity to save someone else. And this first story is the most innocent chapter of his journey by far, but it kind of finds him entangled in this conflict early in his childhood that forces him to really face down the moral pendulum for the first time, you know, what he's capable of and what the consequences are of these innate abilities. And what's really, really fun about this for any major comic book fan is that there is a figure, a very, very prominent figure in comic book history that becomes a recurring supporting cast member and who will kind of demarcate Midas's growth and character change throughout each of these chapters in a big way. So that character is almost going to be like our constant, our baseline, which I think will be a lot of fun to explore.
a good measuring stick each chapter that happens?
Yeah, yeah, man. And also I think the inclusion of that person really helps to push like the metatextual elements of this story, right? As this journey of self-preservation and self-sacrifice and learning to find balance in that. You know, this is the story for all of the people who um, felt like they gave up too much of themselves in order to lift other people up around them, and some of those people, in some ways rightfully so, became embittered by it, and they let the prospect of that ruin them from being that person again in any capacity. And so this is what that story means to me. And I just had a blast working on it with Steph. I mean, there are just so many little tricks throughout the course of this story where you can, I mean, like it's just it's hard to say. So it's weird.
Without
In
spoiling anything.
Yeah, I mean, in many ways, the story has some more traditional page compositions, but there are little
Yeah,
adjustments, little techniques that she uses to really control the way that we are reading the story and the flow of the reading. You know, I mean, even
yeah.
if you
I
were to
mean, the stacking here, even like, though we've got traditional styles of panels, they're not all kind of next to each other. It's lots of extra space in there, but I think flows in a good way.
Yeah, you know, and even even the first panel of that second page with like the one leaf that is
Uh-huh.
spiraled just outside
Yeah, and
of the
then like
box of the panel, I should say.
this
It
going just outside to
right, it gives this
everything just
it
breaking it
gives
out.
right, it gives this impression of just like this openness and this innocence, even though we're not doing full bleed panels, you know, and they're just
Mhm.
tiny little things that
Yeah.
push that forward, man. And I mean, she's just so good. She's so freaking talented. Like I can't believe she said yes to working on the project, if I'm honest, but I am eternally grateful that she did.
Yeah, and another thing I noticed when I was, back when I started looking at everything, that you got different letterers on each of these as well, which
Mhm.
brings in, I think, lots of cool and unique talent showcasing Jerome Gagnon on the first one, and then Micah on this one.
Yeah, I really wanted to play with. I've talked about it a lot in interviews how letterers are kind of like our composers, and I felt like it was kind of necessary to have different composers for these projects. And both these guys brought their A game and really provided a sense of style,
Mhm.
to the lettering in a way that I don't know if anybody could have replicated what they did. So they're such crucial parts of these stories. So I'm so
Yeah,
glad you brought them up.
yeah, and I know one of the stories, is it this one that one of them you lettered, right?
I letter the last one,
The last one.
the
Okay,
bear
so
market businessman. Jerome is actually pulling double duty and lettering time fleeting war
okay.
more.
Awesome. So we'll talk about that one now. Time fleeting war immortal. Actually, one question for you back on this one. The first story you said was 22 pages. Is this one equally as long, or is it a little bit shorter, especially with planning to continue chapter by chapter?
Yeah, so this one's only 6 pages, man.
Right.
A big sort of philosophy of mine going into this project was just to let the stories be as long or as short as they needed to be, in order to basically become the best forms of themselves. And it speaks to that point so much so that Reflections and Other Little Devils and Time Fleeting War Immortal actually, like, both of them doubled in size. Originally, I think Reflections was about 12 pages and Time Fleeting War Immortal was about 10 pages.
Okay.
And yeah, Time Fleeting is I think 20 pages when all is said and done now. And they both those stories cannibalized two other short stories that were going to be in the collection. I mean, we ultimately have the same page counts, but
Yeah.
this just kind of was my big creative swing in trying to expand myself and my voice. And like I said, it was very important to me that I didn't bind these stories to a page count that existed for the sake of, having a certain number.
Yeah.
I wanted
It's
these.
not a traditional comic. You don't have to stick to the 22, 24 pages, or do whatever you want.
Exactly, exactly. And also, like, shout out to Winston Gambro, who's designed almost every logo for these stories. They
Nice.
are awesome. They're mind-blowingly
And
good.
they're
Like,
I would say, even between these, like, such different styles.
yeah, yeah, Winston is fantastic. He's so professional and so thoughtful in his approach, and so easy to work with. That Time Fleeting War Immortal logo, I just adore. It screams elements of, like, Suicide Squad and, like, old war stories, and
Yeah.
he's fantastic. He's so good.
So this one also, again, everyone, the art just is phenomenal.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, and this is Marcio. This is Marcio getting to do his thing,
Yeah.
who again was our colorist for the Helix project, who did
Yeah.
the C covers for the last two issues of the Helix project and the A cover for this book. He's bringing his A game, man. It's
Just brilliant.
Yeah, he's incredible. And this was really special, this story, in for several reasons. One, because Marcio and I, our creative relationship is taking a major step by working together as not only writer and colorist, but writer and artist.
Yeah.
He's doing every element of the visual art in the story. And also, this story, by being given the extra 10 pages, actually changed almost entirely. Like, the point of this story evolved quite a lot, where, like, Reflections and Other Little Devils gained the space it needed to flesh itself out. This
Yeah.
story evolved into something entirely different by being given that space. It would have been a contemporary black comedy. And now it's evolved into a Dante-esque, like, divine comedy, traditional comedy, with historical fantasy elements. So it's comedy insofar as like tragedy being an inherent part of it.
Okay.
And so yeah, it's the most thematically complicated story I think I've ever written. Like and I should say most thematically complex. Like it really works out some really really some gray areas just to existing as a human being, but uh, we follow two nearly immortal soldiers as they reconvene throughout pretty much every great battle in human history to settle this conflict that they've had with one another that spans from a time before time existed to the end of all life as we know it. And ultimately, it is about how, the landscape of war is constantly changing and how adversity can be conditioned by these ideals that are temporary and often don't even last beyond a generation. But ultimately it is also like speaking to this idea that whether you're immortal or not, and I'm betting you're not, there's probably not enough time to do everything that you feel like you need to do or want to do. So make it count.
That
Don't
that
spend.
that one hits home very, very hard.
Yeah, man. Well, it's
Talking about beforehand, I've got stacks of books that I'm like, I want to read all this, but do we have enough time to
yeah,
do all the things we want to do?
it's crazy, right? Because like when I'm telling a story about like how the change the how conflict and the landscape of conflict changes, and how the thing that persists is the spirit of conflict in and of itself, because I mean for whatever reason it permeates and that lasts beyond time. But like also the thing that spurs on conflict
Mhm.
is temporary. These ideals that we fight for more often than not are very contingent upon a very, very selective moment in time. And that's fleeting. And to live your life in service of something that doesn't extend beyond really your own lifetime more often than not seems fruitless and seems like a waste of
Yeah,
this valuable temporal real estate that we have been given.
yeah,
And so yeah, man, this story really I think became something special, and I think Marcio just translated that so beautifully.
definitely. I keep keep looking at like how they're drawn down here. It almost reminds me a little bit of like Inhuck Lee's art style.
He
His
he
covers.
yeah, he was saying he was very inspired by Francesco Mattina when he
Matina.
was
Okay, I can see that too. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Just I don't know. There's like that level of realism there and details. Just yeah.
He
I'm
killed it.
glad that he's getting to showcase this especially with his story. It sounds like a very important story to have out there.
Me too, man. And if you look at like the segment from the second page, I mean like his compositions are so much fun. The way he's using those
Yeah,
arches to kind of frame these two characters. And I mean the little bit of the way he creates shadows and texture, like they're very non-traditional hatches.
hmm
They almost remind me of like the curves of a fingerprint, although I know he's working digitally, so that doesn't quite make sense. But
yeah. I
that's
get
what
what
they
you're
make me.
saying.
Yeah, it's kind of what they make me think of. I mean, he's just done a wonderful job. He's. I mean, there's a reason why he's literally been a part of everything I have done in my career.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you're able to keep working with him and don't lose that ability to work with him because he's doing some awesome things here.
Agreed.
But
Totally
also,
agreed.
hopefully, people start seeing his work more and his name gets out there because it's good.
Agreed.
And then we come to the bear market businessman.
Yes. Yeah. This is a really interesting one because it kind of eschews the genre elements of the story, which makes it very different from the other three. The other three really do pull on genre as a tool. And honestly, it's what plays the role that genre does in the other stories. This story uses setting. It's genre by way of
Okay.
setting and the
Yeah.
future. to really bring this story home. And it is a very, very personal drama. You know, it's maybe the most emotionally honest story I've gotten to tell so far. And I was very fortunate to have the incredible Ryan Best on art duties for this piece.
Yeah. Which again, fantastic.
Yeah, so like as you guys can see on the screen, it's a very simple premise. Centuries in the future, is this takes place in a neon adorned New York City as it weighs down upon the richest man on the planet, and it's about his war with himself on the edge of life, trying to figure out why life is worth living, and it's really, you know, a story about how surviving is all about the choice to live. What does it mean to live, right? And that can mean so many different things to so many different people, which I think is part of why I love this story so much and the simple nature of it.
Yeah.
Because I think it's just going to be so easy for someone to access and pull something out from. And in addition to that, like Ryan, his art style is so cool. And it reminds me, the reason, actually, one of the things that attracted me to his artwork so much is that when I met him at Heroes Con last year, his lines reminded me a lot of Terry Dodson, but his colors are very different from what you would see on Terry Dodson. He uses
Yeah.
these like large, thicker, sweeping lines in order to accomplish form. Um, and it's just got this vitality to it, similar to Steph, but in the way Steph uses palette and
Yeah.
gradation to do it, I think Ryan does it with his lines. And there's such a, despite not being realistic, there is a reality and a personality to these characters, in such a big way. I mean, you look at like that third panel and the expression of sort of like, you know, paranoia is just
Yeah.
there and so present. And
And then
he polished it off so well with his colors.
I mean the emotion, even not seeing the eyes here,
Hmm.
you can see it in it. If you didn't have any tears there, you'd still know this person's sad because of the way that he's able to do the face on the bottom half. Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, he did such an incredible job. And I'm really, really glad that he and I got to connect in Charlotte, and we got to reconvene in New York and go out for a couple drinks. And you know, it's always nice like to be able to connect with somebody on a personal level when you're telling a story that means a lot to you. And you know, Bear Market Businessman, like I said, in some ways might be the most emotionally um truthful story I've gotten to tell. So glad Ryan got to do that with me.
Awesome. And that is the last story in here. And this one, is this a shorter one or
It is 11 pages.
11? Okay. So
Yep. So
middle.
somewhere in between.
Yeah. Nice. But
Yeah.
again, like we were talking about, it's whatever it needed to be. It's definitely not a. I feel like it's not even a traditional like short story there either. You see like 6 or 8.
Hmm.
That's like the typical anthology size that we see for stories. So yeah, I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think sometimes with certain people, it's good to have confinement because then they're able to really work with the setting that
Yeah,
they've been given. But I think for me, I kind of work opposite. And I I didn't I saw that as a constraint for these stories in particular.
yeah,
And I'm really, really glad I just kind of let them be what they needed to be. I let the stories tell themselves and the characters spin this yarn. And I would like to think that it came out for the best.
absolutely. And of course, if anyone hasn't checked that Area 51, you can also get that in this Kickstarter because it's amazing.
Thank you, man.
We got to read through the final issue and no spoilers, but I feel like definitely got some father son time in this issue.
Yeah.
uh, just not not talking about how that father son time went, but we got some father son time.
Yeah. Yeah. 13 years in the making.
Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah,
man. It's yeah, I'm really glad that I was able to kind of bring that and allow the folks that are backing this book to maybe catch up on the Helix project and keep an eye on my beginnings as a creator, but also, it's great for those of you that might have back the earlier stuff, because now you have the space to maybe snag a variant cover that you might have missed, because almost all of them are available, with the exception of the first printing of issue 1 and issue 2. But the cool thing is, and Jeremy has been privy to this, or that the new editions are actually pretty cool, pretty premium. They feature brand new covers. Jeremy has the foil edition of the issue 1 reprint, but there's also an emboss version, which I think he also has. Yeah.
It's right there.
And also just came in the mail today, the spot glossed second print of issue 2.
Oh, fancy.
Yeah, she's a beaut. I'm really,
Wow. Yeah, it
really
looks
glad.
nice.
I'm really happy with how this came out. And what's cool is with the second editions, you also get some behind the scenes features, so cover gallery with the original first print covers. And then you get a little bit of behind the scenes action. So for this one, you have a cover process feature where you get to see how the cover, I'm going the wrong way, how the cover evolved over time, and like the rejected color proofs. And then what is consistent with the last one is we have a director's commentary page breaking down one of the interior pieces that you'll find within the book.
Yeah. And you had in issue 6, you had like you had a letters page.
I did, for the first time ever. Yeah, that was really cool.
I never see that in Kickstarter books.
I thought that was a feature that would be a lot of fun to include.
Yeah.
One, because it's like a big thank you, like it's not lost on me that enough people supported me to where I could tell a 6-issue story right out the gate. I mean, you know what I mean? The start of my career was so non-traditional, right? Like I didn't start doing little stories for like anthologies, for other people's anthologies, that is, or submitting to someone else. I got to start with a 6-issue story that evolved and changed and grew over time, just like I did. And, I thought it was such a great opportunity to be able to hear from the people that were there and that supported it and believed in it and hopefully connected with it. So yeah, man, like having a letters page is a privilege, because that means you have people that want to write you fucking letters.
Right.
That's so cool, man. And also, I actually think that the director's commentary in that one is the best so far. I think it has the most interesting and articulate director's commentary we've featured yet.
Nice. Did you do that on the first print, because since it was the last one, just trying to like have it there so it's in there, and then just adding in the reprints later for the other ones?
Yeah, well, because I don't plan on reprinting issue 3. Ideally, it's just I mean, reprinting issue 1 was necessary because it was such a small print run by comparison. I mean, I printed like 800 copies of issue 1, and those sold out within about a year. So I needed to be able to sell issue 1s to move the rest of the series. And so I went kind of premium with it because, I mean, shit, enough people liked it to where I got to reprint my first comic inside of a year. I mean, that's such a privilege. And so I wanted to do something special, and issue 2 was kind of the same way. It was just the acknowledgement that there are going to be some people that only want to try the first 2 at a convention. And so, I tend to sell more of those than anything else. Although, like, as the creator, it's slightly irksome because I think the best work is the later part of the series, but it is a fact of life as a comic book creator. So, and I also wanted to make this premium because in 6 months later, I sold out my second book, and I didn't see any of that coming. So I wanted to make it special and thank the people that support the project.
Yeah, I mean, do you plan on doing a trade collection for this?
I would love to. I'm kind of in early plans to do something next year, maybe early next year, to reprint, or not to reprint, but to collect it into a trade and remaster some of the artwork that I didn't love from the earlier issues. Not like entire issues, but like some pages,
pieces.
Yeah, that just, they had to go because of time constraints and needing to get to the printer for fulfillment and whatnot, that have just always kind of bugged me. And yeah, so when we go to trade, we'll have several stretch goals to upgrade the print material on it, for spot glosses and for um
Hardcover.
prop perhaps, if you guys show up, I would kill to
I
make the
mean,
hardcover.
I've seen a number of creators starting to do hardcover campaigns. I'm like, oh yes, please.
I would love
I
to.
will back at a hardcover. Like, I mean, some of these, of course, have had direct market releases too. Like Pat's got that going on right now with the
Mhm.
hardcover. I'm like, I've been reading it, but I'm like, I love a hardcover. Just
Mm.
and then the By the Horns team had done one recently, but
Yeah.
I was like, just keep doing hardcovers. I'll do it.
Dude, I want one so bad. I feel like that's such a big milestone for a creator to have a hardcover. So I would love
Yeah,
that. I mean, listen, if anybody watching, show up for that campaign and you will get the hardcover. I will
right.
make it a possibility.
There's like, yeah, I was like looking behind me. I've got a couple other hardcovers, but the ones that like, I mean, I feel like the direct market gold standard is like the image ones.
Mm, they're
Like
cool.
that's how I'm trying to catch up on stories that I missed. Deadly
Yeah.
Class. I'm like, it's all hardcover.
You know what I've kind of taken to recently? I'm generally like for home reading, love oversized hardcovers,
Mm-hmm.
but because I've been traveling a lot for conventions, I get really anxious when it comes to packing because then I'm like, do I bring one volume, two volume, three volume? Like, but I recently picked up compendium style soft covers, and
Yeah,
I mean, as a collector and like a print material junkie, I will still usually pick up the hardcover. But
yeah.
like, I just bought compendiums for Black Science, Tom
Mm.
Strong, and Top 10,
Yeah,
and I love the idea that I have a girthy thing that I can bring and read on these conventions. But
yeah,
I also don't have to be super precious, right? Like if I brought a big hardcover, I would be petrified. You know what I mean?
yeah. Like the saga one I got over there. That's how I read Saga originally. I
Mm,
I kind of want to go back and get the three hardcovers. But
mm. I mean, sometimes, listen, I have three different versions of Watchmen.
yeah,
Um, I think I have three different versions of Court of Owls. I'm trying to think of what else. I have a couple of different versions of Criminal.
yeah. I get that. Yeah, I've got I've got some that I've got multiple versions. I have like a direct market single issue, a Kickstarter, and then like a collected. And I'm like,
Mm,
just whatever.
mm,
It's supporting the stories that we love.
mm. Yeah, man. No, I get it. And sometimes you just want something cool on the bookshelf to open up with a glass of whiskey and enjoy, like
Yeah,
it's weird. Like a really nice premium hardcover. I feel like in my mind I almost fetishize it in a way. Like
yeah.
it's such a transcendental experience.
Anytime my shop's like, we're doing 10 or 15% off, I'm like, here's a stack.
Dude,
I
same.
just it's not even that much off, but I'm like, it's enough to convince my brain that I should get this. Like, I haven't even read Deadly Class's first big beefy hardcover, but I bought the
Mhm.
second one because it
Hey,
was on the sale. I This one is I just haven't put anything away.
dude, same. Oh, dude, I have the collectible floppies that come in the display case.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
I was just like, oh my gosh.
which like shout out to TKO. I as a consumer
I love what they're doing.
love their packaging model. Like the fact that on release you get the option to buy a premium trade or premium collector's issues that come inside of a display case that you could put on the bookshelf.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I mean, I have Sentient by Lemire and Walta, but I also have Sarah by Garth Ennis and
I need to get that still.
is it McNiven?
I don't
The
know. It
the
might
worst
be.
part the worst part is it is right above my eye line. Like I can see the top of the thing, but I can't see the credit.
That's
I
okay.
wanna I wanna say it's Steve McNiven.
I just got this one.
Oh,
Tim
cool.
Seeley and Jelena Dordovich.
Yeah, man.
Cannot say that, but
Shout out to TKO, man. Say Chun, if you're listening, I got stories for you, pal. Just saying.
what's up, Super Lit Comics?
What's going on?
Yeah, no, just like everything. Just started buying their stuff too. Like,
Mm.
I've been missing out. It's
It's
good.
such a cool packaging model, and I'm dead surprised that it didn't blow up, because I just think it gives you the optionality, and sometimes I think this
Yeah,
speaks to the notion that, like, sometimes people don't know what they actually want. They'll say what they think they want,
yeah,
and they might not follow through on that. Like, I feel like TKO is like giving us what we want. Like, for the digestible reader, you got it. For the collector, you got it.
yeah. I feel like they suffer from not enough exposure.
Mm.
You know, I've been seeing them doing some like they're working with like a content creator, and you see some reels and
Mm.
things out there, but I feel like in the Diamond catalog things get lost and they don't have a big premium spot, and so
Mm.
they're somewhere in the alphabet and things. That's where a lot of the indie books are, and I spend the time looking through there to find those stories, but a lot of
Yeah.
people they flip through Image, Boom. Well, you used to have IDW and Dark Horse there, but they're not there
Mhm.
anymore. They're they're later on now.
Often the
Um,
evil.
but yeah, like they flip through the big names, and then when it starts to get to just the alphabet, they're like,
Yeah, to be honest with you, it's crazy because I've never, as a creator and as an avid reader, I've never been one to go through previews. Just never been my thing.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, I hope that they catch on, because I think they're doing really, really cool stuff. They're getting some really talented people
yeah,
behind it. And like I said, if TKO ever wants to have me, I'm kind of here for it. Mind you, you never hear me talk about like other indie publishers where I'm like,
yeah,
yes, let me do
yeah,
something with you. That says something. I think really, like, there are only two indie publishers that I'm kind of like foaming at the mouth to do something with, and
let
and
the
that's,
other one be a mystery, so all of the indie publishers will try to do something with you, right? Unless you want to say, hey,
I mean, Vault, if you want,
yeah,
if you want, to do something with the boy TKO, I'd love to work with you. Just saying, power of the internet. Let's manifest.
right. Yeah, manifest it. I mean, I've seen enough tweets out there that people have tweeted things into existence, like David proposed in his Conan writing.
Fair.
He didn't get to write the Conan book, but he got to write Conan, and I think
True.
that was perfect. That was perfect for
Hey,
him. It was
we're
good.
manifesting it right now on You Promise Me
Yes.
Comics. It's gonna happen.
You
So
promised me a TKO book.
yeah, so it's Seichun and or the Wassell brothers. You can, you know what? Contact me through Jeremy if you want. That'll do.
I need to contact that TKO. I need to have that. I have talked with several people at Vault just through like tweets and interactions and like them sending advanced copies to read and all that, but
Mm.
I don't know how to get on TKO's radar.
Hey, reach out, man.
Yeah.
And once you do, let them know I'm looking for them.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean that the quality of the product, kind of coming back to your Kickstarters, quality of TKO's product, the way that it's put out there is great. Quality of the books that you've put out there, just not even talking about the story, which we've already talked about, it's amazing. The physical product, people are going to enjoy holding the comic and reading it, and not have the Marvel experience of, oh, there's ink on my hands now.
Yeah. Yeah, people when people say they want the Marvel experience, they don't know what it actually means.
Yeah, I mean, there's good things with Marvel, of course, but the print quality is not ever what I would hope, because I have had ink come off on my hands,
Oof.
and then there's a fingerprint on the cover.
Oof. That's
I'm
rough.
like, cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Well,
this book doesn't become something worth a lot down the line that I would get rid of.
I mean, it's not necessarily a dig, but I can't relate because I make sure my books are well printed. Um,
Yeah. Well,
not a dig, but hey, Marvel, I'm looking at you.
right. I mean, I feel like for them, and I don't know, publishers tend to do a lot better with printing. They
Mm.
care about what's being put out there.
Well, I think it's like, I mean, I can only really speak for myself, but I was just a consumer 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and I still am a consumer, but like, I think about what I would have wanted as a consumer then, and I try to
Mhm.
provide that because there's got to be other people that want a well printed comic book that you don't have to feel precious about when you read it. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, there's nothing worse than like when you're opening a comic and it feels so frail that you're afraid you might make a rip by turning a page or like
Yeah.
crease it. Like, I want my books to stand the test of time.
Right. And then, yeah, just I don't know. It always makes me upset when I pick up a Marvel book and it feels like that. I'm like,
Mm. Yeah,
oh
I
well.
get it, but
There was a
don't.
period where Dark Horse, I think, was doing that too. Like it felt like the pages were thin, just so thin. And I think they fixed it, but there's just this like during the paper shortages and everything. I think their solution was print thin.
Weird.
Except for there was like I think it was May's book from Jeff Lemire. It was like super high quality, thick pages. I was like, all right, Jeff Lemire definitely told them you can't print my book small.
Shout out
Like,
to our guy Jeff.
yeah, we're speaking of Jeff. Yeah,
Dude, I was gonna ask, are you doing you going to Baltimore this year?
I don't know. I don't know yet. I'm hoping to go to New York, and
That'd be
if I go
fun.
to New York, I probably won't go to Baltimore.
Yeah, I mean,
They're
big
pretty
trip.
close. Yeah. Which is why I was gonna go to Heroes, but I'm gonna skip Heroes this
Mm,
year because I just went to MegaCon and I'm planning to go to GalaxyCon Raleigh.
dude, I get GalaxyCon Raleigh, but a lot of the boys are gonna be at Hero.
I know. I'm missing a lot at Heroes, but Damien, who designed our logo and lives in Argentina, will be at GalaxyCon Raleigh, and so
Mm,
it's like what like the one chance to actually for us to get to meet in person and
mm.
chat.
That's
Um,
fair. That's fair.
yeah, it was
I'm.
like he got approved for San Diego too,
Mm,
and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to San Diego.
mm,
Uh, but yeah, I was like, I got to choose between him who may not be back in the country for a while or people who I really love, but I can probably find you guys at another con.
mm. Yeah, I mean, you will always have. I mean, I think pretty much all of us are gonna be in New York too, in
Yeah,
varying capacities. So you do have
yeah.
that going for you.
That was my decision making. I was like, and that plus I'm like, I got to buy some Disney tickets for later this year, and that's my expense for the month. So I was like, I wouldn't
Mm,
even be able to. I'd fly to Heroes Con, and then I would just hang out at Heroes Con.
mm,
I wouldn't buy anything at Heroes Con, and that would not work.
mm. Well, I feel like the one saving grace is when it comes to Heroes Con, there's probably at least one of us that would be willing to get you in there for free.
Yeah, that's fair. And I could have applied for press, but the hotel plus
Mm.
flight plus then wanting to buy everything off of people's tables.
That's that's fair. Yeah.
Usually, like if I go to a con, I wanna buy things and support people and
Mhm.
get a commission or two. So
Yeah, I
I
don't
mean,
blame you,
my
man.
wall is growing with commissions right now. So
That's
uh,
part of the experience, dude.
yeah,
I'm so hyped to see your graded Helix project on that wall.
it's gotta join some of the graded books back here. I gotta clean up my mess on that. Like these are all like books that are not bagged and boarded.
Dude, I would be ashamed to show you the piles of books around me. Like There's a reason like you go to my interviews and they're always from this one spot
Right.
because
Yeah.
there's just a wall of shame
Oh,
surrounding me of books I have not put up on the shelf yet.
this is like nice compared to some parts of the room. uh, I have bags somewhere. I don't know where they went. I bought boards to use with them, and
Hmm.
now I can't find the bags.
Oh, damn. That's the worst.
So now I need to buy more bags until they show up somewhere in
That's
this room.
that's the worst.
It's yeah, it's life. But I mean, your books came nice bagged and boarded, so I didn't have to do anything there.
Hey, shout out to that guy. Am I right?
Right. All the time in there, which, you know, it seems like it would be a simple thing and it would be something that everybody would do.
Mhm.
But I have received so many Kickstarter books that have not been bagged and boarded, or have just been bagged but not boarded,
Mm.
or have shown up in an envelope and are bent in half. And I'm like, your books always come safe.
I'm glad.
So, if anyone's concerned about that aspect of backing your Kickstarter, don't be. It's securely sent.
Plus, resealable bags. I feel like that's kind of a flex.
Yeah, those are nice. And I feel like that saves you time. You just pull the thing off, close it. You don't have to pull off tape and do all that.
It's so nice, man. I mean, I will say the little end that you pull is like it's very, it like stays on you for a
Staticky.
minute
Yeah.
because of the static. Yeah,
Yep.
it's kind of a pain in the ass to like get off of your finger.
Yeah.
But
I don't want my cat nearby when I'm doing it, or he will probably find one and eat it,
oh
and
man,
that will not go well. But that's like the one risk with those bags.
yeah. So shout out to the rest of us non-pet owners. You know what I mean? We're safe.
Yeah. We'll let you do the bag and boarding on those, and then yeah, if those bits are hanging around, it's fine.
Sounds good. Sounds good. That I can deliver on. I promise.
We'll come back over here for a moment before we wrap up, but I want to show this because that was what I was talking about, like the paneling and all that, where you can see in Helix project. So if you haven't gotten to check that out and you're already planning on backing Minutes to Midnight here, go pick up some more fun stuff. Because it's the father son time.
Oh God. Yeah, I mean, listen, if you guys want a little bit of that father and son time too, like, and you want it for the low, my entire digital catalog is up for $19. It's like 228 pages. I think
Right
it's
there.
kind of a steal.
Yeah. I mean, you've got, it'll be 7 stories. So even if you're thinking like, what do they normally go, like $3-4 digital?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Perfect.
28. That's $28.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty affordable, and like I said, you get both. Well, not like I said, I haven't mentioned it yet, but in the digital library edition, you also get both versions of the Helix Project 1 and 2. So you also get the behind the scenes features as well, which is
it's technically 2 more issues in there.
yeah, it's free money.
Think about it like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
And
yeah,
I think a rad new addition. I'm glad like you are where you are is the cool Be Dangerous Read Comics enamel pin. I think that's such a cool item. Like, it's funny, people really have not been eating that one up as much. I think it's one of my favorite pieces of merchandise I've ever made.
I do really like the the first thing I bought from you, I think, or no, maybe second.
Second, I think.
Yeah, I bought the second print, and then I got that at Fan Expo New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
It's somewhere around here. I think my lanyard's on the ground right now. It fell off the desk. But I really like that. But yeah, this is really cool. And then a shirt. You can get a shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're super soft. They're made with like Bella canvas, so super super soft. And then if you are a producer, we always do like an exclusive producer item that we never re-release. and we have a really, really cool producer, like large print tee. If you
Oh
scroll
yeah,
down
that one.
there,
Yeah, which is
which I
the cover art from the B cover, right? With but black
yeah,
and white. And
yep, the inks to the beacon, which I think that's such a rad shirt, man. I think it's one of the most wearable pieces of merchandise I've made.
it's really cool. I don't do well with white shirts,
Me
but
neither, dude.
you're wearing a white shirt right now.
I know. And like honestly, there was a little spill from my coffee like below the what you can see here.
Yeah, yep, yep.
Um so yeah, you were exactly right to feel concerned.
Yeah, but it looks really cool. The people
Thanks.
that do well with white shirts get on that producer
O-
tier and
Or get like one of those hydrophobic sprays, you know what I mean, to keep them
mm,
safe.
yeah. Shout out to everyone on the creative team. Just a great cast.
I agree. These
Great cast.
guys,
Is that the right word to use?
yeah,
Great cast.
yeah,
A
yeah.
great cast of characters. Oh,
Yeah, great great cast of creative people, man. I mean,
yeah.
they really took these stories to the next level. I felt very confident going into like the writing of these stories, but I think the thing that makes me the most proud is what these guys were able to turn them into. You know, they taught me a lot throughout this process and helped me to refine my ability as a storyteller, which
Mhm.
that is priceless. That's something that you don't always get to receive in a creative relationship with somebody, and I had the privilege of doing it with every single one of these incredibly talented people.
Yeah. So I dropped the link again down in the chat, but it's also down in the description below for everyone to go back. Minutes to Midnight.
Hmm.
uh, which when I first heard the title and I keep thinking about it, I haven't asked you about it. It reminds me of the Linkin Park CD.
Yep. Yep.
Anything there in your mind, or it's just
No,
a
but
funny coincidence?
it is a funny coincidence. You want to know the worst part? Um, the collection that I have planned for next year, the title is also named after something in music, which is again very unintentional. And I feel like I'm setting myself up for these questions and to disappoint so many people.
Subtle like things that you're throwing in there that you're just like, no connection. Like years later, you're gonna be like, yeah, it was totally connected.
Yeah,
Got
it was
you
a thing.
all.
Yeah, dude, it's funny because the next collection, the one I do next year, the working title is The House of the Rising Sun. Um, and yeah, just another sort of classic music, classical, not in genre, but in nature, music pull. So yeah, I swear to God, it's not intentional. But you know what? After two, maybe it
Lean
does
into
become
it.
intentional.
After the third one, if it happens again, then you have to lean into it and say it's intentional.
I agree. I think I
um,
might have to.
to wrap things up, because I know you got another one coming up. You need a little break for food. Where can people find you to follow along with the project and what's going on?
Yeah, man. So I think we've got, as of recording this on the 31st, we've got like another 2 days. So I think, well, not I think, sorry, I'm so kind of brain dead. You guys can follow me on Twitter at PWatchPress and at Instagram and Facebook, on Instagram and Facebook at Pocket Watch Press. Definitely consider backing this project. We've got a little over 20 days left. And we're definitely trying to reach for some stretch goals. Like I said, we've got a beautiful cane and white cover that I would love to be able to put into the hands of backers, but
You
that's
are
contingent.
$4 away from revealing that cover.
Oh, am I really?
$4.
Damn, somebody get in there and like get that man his shield. You know what I mean? Like,
$4,996 and 103 backers right now.
geez. So
And
I don't know. Somebody buy a pair of bookmarks or something. Let's do it. Let me reveal that cover. Anywho, man, it's a pleasure to be here, Jeremy. It's great, man. Now that we've got to
yeah,
like hang out a couple times in person, it just coming on the show, it feels like hanging out with a homie. So it's a privilege to
absolutely.
be here, man.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for, reaching out, set this up. We'll do this again sometime and later this year, I'm sure. And hopefully see you at one of the upcoming cons.
Totally agreed, man. Here for the good times.
Absolutely. Thanks everyone who's been watching. Again, our one Twitch follower really pulling in the Twitch views. One Twitch follower. I love it. Every time recently there's been one person watching from Twitch. So shout out to you. You're awesome. And shout out to the regular people watching on YouTube. Appreciate you all and have a nice night.